Hello, everyone. Here's your weather hazard briefing for Wednesday, July 26th. We continue with some pretty strong winds today and tomorrow, but the gusty winds themselves, even though the winds may be a little lighter each day, will continue into the weekend, it appears at this point. The strongest gusts, at least for today and Thursday, Central Mountains, up and down the Snake Plain, especially the lava beds, craters, Arco Desert, on up into the eastern highlands. That's where the strongest wind gusts will be today and tomorrow. Similar areas, the higher gusts overall will continue to be in those areas with those wind speeds dropping over the weekend. Isolated thunderstorms, mainly over the mountains. The moisture, there's not a lot of monsoon moisture, but it's still enough on a daily basis to get something going in those areas. Temperature-wise, with the ridge really not trying to pop back up our direction until next week, we still have some fairly steady temperatures. That doesn't mean it's going to be the exact same temperature every day, but fluctuating a degree or two on a daily basis. Satellite shows we have a little bit of monsoon moisture working out in Nevada and Utah up into the southeast corner early here on Wednesday, and it's these little pushes of moisture coming in the flow, and sometimes you really can't see those until you get to, within a few hours of it happening, 12 hours of it happening. That's why we continue to keep that low chance of thunderstorms in the forecast across the area, and really that will continue into next week. You'll notice the better moisture's off or to our south and to the east as high pressure is down to the Four Corners and actually east of the Four Corners. That pushes back our direction next week. So maybe we see more monsoon moisture, better chance of rain and thunderstorms next week. Still a few days out, but something to keep in the back of your mind. The weather risk outlook for the next several days, where we have major impacts marked, that's where we have critical fuels, and we have the combination of wind and RH over the coming days, and critical fire weather conditions, at least widespread critical fire weather conditions, will potentially be met today and tomorrow for sure over, again, portions of the Snake Plain and Magic Valley up towards Chalice and Mackay, especially once you get up over into the Lost River Range on up into Limhi County as well. That trend continues for tomorrow. With the winds slowly backing down over the weekend, we still might see some critical conditions fire-wise for certainly up in the Central Mountains, but maybe across the Arco Desert Friday. Not so much there on Saturday, but maybe the wind's picking back up enough on Sunday for that as well. Otherwise, minor to moderate impacts, whether it's from thunderstorms or just dry conditions and what wind we have out there heading into the last weekend here in July. So looking at how the forecast is shaping up for today in terms of where we might see a few thunderstorms, going into this afternoon, most likely, once you get over towards Malad into the southeast corner, we might see something trying to form back, of course, across the City of Rocks, the South Hills, the Albion Mountains, but that chance right now is less than 10%. And you'll notice up towards Salmon, over towards Shoup, that direction, a few thunderstorms not out of the question late this afternoon into this evening, but you'll notice we start to lose that moisture surge coming through. Overnight into early tomorrow morning, this might be a bit overdone here with this particular forecast, but that just kind of shows you the sign. We've got this little bit of moisture coming through. Does that mean we won't see any sprinkles or virga overnight? Maybe a lightning strike? Not out of the question either, but that potential. We don't usually include anything into our written forecast, verbalized forecast, anything over 15%. 10% chance or less will at least tell you about it. That way you're not caught out saying, well, something formed and you didn't say anything, didn't have anything in the forecast. So that's kind of how we work our forecast here with the percentages and coverages for showers and thunderstorms across the area. So getting back to the rest of the forecast. Now, looking at temperatures for today versus the weekend, Saturday will be the warmest day. You notice comparing the two temperature forecasts here, they're really not changing that much. Maybe 4 to 5 degrees at best in some areas, and some of this will be dependent on cloud cover on a daily basis, but you'll notice temperatures staying near or to above average as we head into the weekend. We should start to see a little bit cooler weather next week. So for today, the higher humidity will be over across the southeast corner above 20%. A good chunk of the rest of the region setting at 10 to 20% for afternoon humidities. That's pretty dry across the area. Those wind gusts, we talked about portions of the upper Snake Plain, eastern highlands down through the Arco Desert, heading towards the lava beds north of Shoshone into the central mountains. Some of these gusts, 35 to 50 miles per hour, certainly possible. We might even see some higher gusts in a few spots, especially around the Arco Desert, heading up into the Central Mountains, the Lost River Range, heading up into Limhi County as well. Those gusts will be late afternoon until about sunset. Down to the south, we're not expecting much in the way of wind gusts for today, as the patterns kind of shifting those gusts, the stronger winds overall, still mainly to the north. For tomorrow, humidity-wise, we're not changing things a whole lot across the area. Maybe just a tad bit higher in a few spots with that little uptick in monsoon moisture for tomorrow. You'll notice those wind gusts continue, especially in the same areas. Now, some gusts down to the south tomorrow. We might see some gusts 30-ish miles per hour in the afternoon and evening, but still up to the north, especially from the eastern highlands across the Arco Desert into the central mountains. And the stronger winds may end up actually pushing a bit farther to the north and to the west, but some of those gusts still 35 to 50 miles per hour, and we still can't rule out on those higher peaks up in the central mountains, some gusts above 50 miles an hour, also out across the Arco Desert and the INL. This is for tomorrow afternoon, evening, so you don't see too much of a difference in terms of humidity and wind today and tomorrow. Humidity-wise, we start to bring in slightly drier air on Friday. Wind gusts back off a little bit, but you'll notice the pattern's not changing. Maybe some gusts around 30 to the south. Wind gusts a little lighter up to the north, but we're still talking 30, 40, 45 mile an hour wind gusts in some areas. Our criteria for critical fire conditions over the Snake Plain and the Magic Valley is gusts higher than 30. And of course, we have to have critical fuels. For the highlands, whether it's the central mountains or down to the south, 25 mile an hour per higher gusts. So where we have those critical fuels, especially from Chalice over towards Gilmore Summit and across the Snake Plain and the Magic Valley, we may be hitting another day of red flag conditions on Friday. Not quite certain that we'll go that direction, but something to keep in mind, our fire partners to keep in mind for Friday. Going into Saturday, the humidity slowly continues to drop as drier air moves into the area. The wind gusts on Saturday still backing off, but you'll still see some gusts 25 to 35 miles an hour in the same areas that we've been talking about over the past couple of days. And Sunday, most of the indications are the winds pick up a little bit again on Sunday afternoon and evening as the next low scoots to our north and east through the Pacific Northwest into southern Canada. But still, some gusts 25, 35, maybe a 40 mile an hour gust, not out of the question, out across the Arco Desert and into the central mountains. And again, that with the low humidity, that does spell potential for critical fire conditions across those areas. So once again, pretty windy today and tomorrow. We still have some gusty winds through the weekend. And again, the farther north you are, the stronger the winds will be all the days in the next 5 days. We still have the potential for isolated storms, and temperatures not changing too much, still ranging near to a few degrees above average for the end of July. Have a great Wednesday, and do stay safe out there, everyone.